on the 50 largest banks in the world. They would not have survived the capital hit.
We saw what happened when one or two large firms came close to failure. Imagine if 10 or 12 or 15 firms had failed, which is where we almost were.
You have to have credit to operate, whether we kept rates too low for too long. That's history. Confronted with a situation where the heart stopped pumping, we had to be the pacemaker and make it work again.
American taxpayers woke up this morning to learn their money makes up a bailout package the Federal Reserve slammed together to save AIG.
Over the course of the crisis, the Fed would pump trillions of dollars in emergency loans to banks, corporations, and governments around the world. Though the moves were a logical extension of the Fed's ideology, they were unprecedented.
Are you committing in this interview that you are not going to let any of these banks fail? That no matter what their balance sheet actually looks like, they are not going to fail?
They're not going to fail.
Bernanke single-handedly stopped the run. But when his bailout failed to jumpstart recovery, the Fed upped the ante. With interest rates already at zero, the Fed's only way to juice the economy was to print more money, with a technique called quantitative easing, or QE. Beginning in 2009, the Fed purchased over $1.3 trillion of mortgages and debt from failed lenders Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It was a temporary nationalization of the mortgage market. What followed was the single biggest stock rally since 1932. When markets faltered in 2010, the Fed announced a second round, QE2. If the Greenspan put had been whispered, the Bernanke put was now loud and clear.
Hedge fund heavyweight David Tepper raked in a record $7.5 billion by investing in financials. How did you do it in 2009? What did you see?
It was easy. The government told you what they were going to do.
So QE2
they said they want the market up. Okay, so what am I? I'm going to say, no, Fed, I disagree with you. So what I got two different situations. One, that the economy gets better by itself. The other situation is the Fed comes in with money. You know, up to the point the Fed comes in with money, the stock market can go down a little bit, but not that much because I got a put. You got to love a put, especially when the government's issuing it.
Bernanke had saved the system, or had he? It was still riddled with the same bad loans and institutions too big to fail, only now spared from the free market's law of survival of the fittest.
Bear Stearns was supposed to go belly up. That's what happens. That's the market correcting their excesses. And the same thing with AIG and Citigroup, and go down the list of everybody that's been bailed out. We just threw enough cash at it that we papered over the structural flaws.
We're at a point now where the consumer is in no position to keep borrowing. Banks are in no position to lend. The banking system is still, in my opinion, insolvent. It's still broken.
Ben Bernanke has led the Fed through one of the worst financial crises that this nation and the world has ever faced.
The Great Moderation began as an homage to the free market, but today it could not be further from that ideal. The two chairmen, appointed by both Republican and Democratic presidents, created an economy more centrally planned than ever in our history. One entirely dependent on ever cheaper credit from our central bank.
From 20% to zero, drops in interest rates bailed out investors in any number of transactions. Every time the response is more debt fueling growth.
But while this mountain of debt provided rocket fuel for housing and finance, overall growth